All right, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. My name is Boris Hertz, and I'm the program manager for the Guam Apex Accelerator. This slide tells you a little bit about what we do. We provide one-on-one counseling and group workshops and webinars for anybody that's going after a government contract. So if you're going after a federal government contract or a local government contract, we are here to assist you. We do not assist with private sector contracts. We are funded by a grant from the Department of Defense Office of Small Business Programs. The University of Guam hosts our program, so we have offices over at the University of Guam School of Business and Public Administration. My office is in room 117. You can also see Nasha. She's over in room 116, right next to me. So, and again, that's at the School of Business. We also have a sponsor for our program, Bank of Guam, Upper Tumon branch. Victoria's over there, so you don't have to come up to Manila if you want to get some counseling. Some highlights of our program. We have over 600 active clients. There's about 2,000 plus in our database, but at any one given time, 600 or more are active. It's probably over 700 by now that are active. Last year, those clients won over $377 million in contracts and subcontracts, and we've helped a bunch of clients get HubZone certified. That's another thing we can assist with is small business certifications. So the type of assistances we provide start with, basically researching if the government buys your product or service, which we'll talk a little bit about today in our marketing webinar here. But the very first step usually is registering in SAM. Once you decide that you want to be a federal contractor or even a subcontractor, you want to register in SAM so we can show you that process. After you get registered in SAM, we can show you how to find opportunities, which are also posted at sam.gov. And then once you find an opportunity you like or want to place a bid on or a proposal or a quote, we can help you with that process as well. Obviously, we can't write your proposal for you or tell you how to price it, but we can give you tips and suggestions on what to include and what not to include in your proposals and quotes. And then win or lose, we can help you with the debrief process. So you're entitled to a debrief on the federal side of things, and that's where the government will tell you the strengths and weaknesses of your proposal. So, but you do need to request a debrief, so we can help you with that process. We also work quite a bit with the SBA. The SBA has 4 major small business certifications: woman-owned, 8A, service-able veteran, and HubZone, and we help with those certifications. Currently, those 4 certifications are offline at the moment. They are not accepting new applicants. And the reason for that is because right now, those 4 certifications are on 4 different websites, and the SBA basically shut them down August 1st and said, we want to consolidate all these websites into one main website where you can apply for all 4 programs or all 4 certifications at one time if you want. So there's not this duplication of upload of, proof of company name and proof of U.S. citizenship and things and, financial documents. You can do it all at once, and they can be shared amongst the 4 certifications. So that site, that consolidated site, I believe it's going to be called MySBA, should be up and running. I keep hearing probably either next week or the week after. So look out for that. And of course, as soon as we know, we're going to let all our clients know. And of course, we'll be providing new webinars on how to apply for the various different small business certifications, as I'm pretty sure the screenshots are going to change compared to our old webinar. So just keep a lookout for that. Small Business Development Center, we work with them quite a bit as well. They're also located here at the University of Guam. So if you want business development training, that is something we do not assist with. So if you want to start a business and you're looking like what kind of company should I have? Should it be an LLC? Should it be a partnership? Should it be a sole prop? We don't assist with those things. Go see the folks over at the SBDC. You want to put a business plan together, you want to get some financial training, anything related to business development, please go see the folks over at the SBDC. We strictly focus on government contracting. And then we're also a proud member of NAPEX, the National Apex Accelerator Alliance. So, we're not the only Apex Accelerator. There are 93, 94 offices across the nation. Almost every state, I believe all 50 states have an Apex Accelerator, and most of the territories do as well. So we have a coverage area And so our coverage area consists of Guam and the CNMI because they do not have their own Apex accelerator. So we can assist Guam-based companies and CNMI-based companies, or companies that have contracts are Guam and in the CNMI. So with our national organization, though, we have 2 conferences a year that we go and find out about what's up and coming with federal procurement, and then we share that with our membership. So, okay, that's pretty much everything we do. All of our services are free of charge. There is no fee for our services. And like I said, we are funded by a grant from the Department of Defense to help businesses sell to the government, in particular, sell to the Department of Defense, but we can help with other government agencies as well as the local government. So please take advantage of our services. We're here to help you. Okay, so like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat as we go along, and or you can save them till the end, and we'll open it up for questions at the end. Okay, so here we go. So today we're going to talk about marketing to the Department of Defense, as well as a capability statement, which is probably one of the best marketing tools you can have for your company when it comes to government contracting. And so here's just a kind of a summary or table of contents of things we're going to talk about. How you know your product or service. You'd be surprised. Some people aren't, they think they know what they sell, but they're not really sure. And well, as we get to that page, I'll show you more about this. How to research federal agencies. We'll talk about registering in SAM, updating your SBA profile. These are all marketing topics, basically. Researching competitors, a capability statement, obviously, websites, community involvement, teaming, and getting on the list. So let's just go through these one by one here. So know your product or service. I mean, most people know what they sell, or, are they selling whatever they're selling, desks and computers and chairs, or they're providing some kind of service, lawn care, janitorial. But the real question is, are you doing a good job? Are you providing the service properly? Are you doing it on time? Are you doing it on budget? Are your customers satisfied with your performance? And the reason for that, to know that, and it's a good thing, and why you should know that, is it's just one of the guiding principles of the FAR. The FAR is the Federal Acquisition Regulations. And right in the beginning of the acquisition regulations, they want to say, the customer, meaning the government, or should be buying products that are, have a good price, good quality, they're delivered on time. And so to do that, they want to use mostly commercial products and commercial services as much as possible, because they know those already have succeeded in the private sector. So it's kind of that, you don't need to reinvent the wheel here. And then using contractors in number 2 here at the bottom, B2, have a track record of successful past performance, or who demonstrate a superior ability to perform. So what they're really saying here is the government does not want to work with people who just started their business and have never sold anything. Your first contract is not going to be the government. Your first contract, you should probably do that in the private sector, or maybe the local government, if that's possible. But the federal government really wants to make sure they're using contractors who have a track record of successful past performance. That's the key here. And so how do you know if you're a successful contractor? How do you know if your customers like what you're doing? How do you know this? Well, there's a good tool you can use, and I encourage everybody to do this. It's not done quite a bit in the private sector, but it should be. You should do a survey or an evaluation, get an evaluation from your customers. And if you ever become a federal contractor, and I'm sure there are some federal contractors on this call right now, you'll know that at certain thresholds, and I don't have them on the top of my head, but at certain dollar values of contracts, you will get an evaluation from your government customer, and that evaluation will be stored in a system known as CPARS, the Contractor Performance Assessment Rating Service. I forget what this S is. But you will be rated. So why not do that for your private sector customers as well, or your GovGuam customers? When you finish a contract, have them rate you. And there's a great tool you can use. There's a past performance questionnaire. It's known as a PPQ, and you'll see this a lot when you're trying to submit a proposal on an RFP in the federal side of things. they'll always usually ask you, hey, if you haven't done any government work, we want to see some PPQs. So start doing that. Start having your customers rate you. Let me show you what it looks like. Here's a sample PPQ. So I'm going to jump over to the PDFs. I should have this lined up already. So let me just make sure. Where's my PDFs? Okay, so here we go. Hopefully everyone can see this on their screens. I'll give it a second to load up for everybody. So you don't have to do this exactly like this, but I'm thinking this is a document you can use it as a template to use in your private sector contracts and just have some kind of rating system. This one is outstanding, good, acceptable, marginal, unsatisfactory. And then have a little table that you put together and, make some questions that kind of talk about the different products or services you sell. So if you're a technical type of company, include some technical questions in there, just to make sure that you're satisfying your customers and that you're doing a good job. And this is a valuable tool just in the respect that you might think you're good at something, but this is where the customers will tell you for sure. They're either going to validate what you think or they're going to show you that your thinking is incorrect. And you can learn from it and improve your business. So I really highly suggest using a tool like this. Survey your customers, let them tell you if you're doing a good job or not. And, going back to what I said earlier, that's going to happen when you're a federal contractor. You're going to get evaluated. So use something like this. Keep these on file. And because you will be needing them usually when you're bidding on a federal contract. But this is a good way to know your product or service. And when I say know, it's, are you doing a good job with that product or service, providing that good product or service? Okay. So let me just check real quick if there are any questions in the chat. Nothing. All right. So let's move on here. You can also research federal agencies. There's a great website known as usaspending.gov. It's got at least 10 years worth of spending data, government spending data. So basically, not every federal agency reports their data in here, but most of the executive branch agencies do. And that's what we're really concerned about. And the number one reason is because Department of Defense is an executive agency branch. And on Guam, Department of Defense does about 99.5% of all the spending out here is done through Department of Defense. I mean, it's over $1 billion a year, over $2 billion a year the last 2 or 3 years. So that is a lot of money being spent. So you can use USA Spending to find out what these agencies are purchasing. So for example, if this is just a screenshot of the territory function on USA Spending, where you can go state by state or territory by territory and kind of see the top 5 things that are being, purchased. And which agency. So here are the top 5 agencies. Number 1, like I said, Department of Defense, 2.3 billion. This was FY23. Number 2 is Homeland Security with 12 million. So very far behind number 2, right? But this is where the money is being spent. So this gives you an idea where to target your marketing. Which agencies should you target your marketing? I mean, if one agency is probably doing this is about 99.9% of all the spending, that's probably you want to target your marketing to, unless you have some highly specialized product or service that you think these other agencies would be interested in. Now the agencies all have sub-agencies. So DOD has the Navy, the Air Force, the Army, DLA. Those are all Department of Defense agencies. So. Okay, so that's just more idea of where to target your marketing. These are the NAICS codes. So if you're a federal contractor, I'm assuming most of you are on this Zoom meeting here. You're all familiar with NAICS codes. You're probably registered in SAM, and you had to tell the government the products and services you're selling. And so the government classifies those products and services into different categories. And each of those categories has a code known as a NAICS code, North American Industry Classification System code. So you can see the top 5 codes here for Guam. Any code that starts with a 2 is a construction code. So 3 out of the top 5 are construction related. And then anything that starts with a 5 is a service code. So facility support and engineering, which is also, related to construction. So lots of work going on. So does that mean if you're providing a product, you probably have no luck with DOD? Not at all. When construction is going on and buildings are being built and things are getting renovated, there is still a ton of need for products, right? Those buildings need to be filled with things. They need furniture. They need alarm systems. They need computer systems. They need electrical systems. They need security systems. So all kinds of things need to go in there. So products, they might need chemicals and stuff if it's a hospital, or facilities do need to be cleaned and maintained. So all kinds of products can be used. So don't think that just because you're selling products, there's no opportunity for you. With construction comes products and services just naturally. So, all right. And here's your top 5 recipients. So not only does USA Spending tell you what the agencies are buying, they also tell you which companies are selling those products, services, and construction. So Cortex is doing very well, or did it very well in FY23. And then H2O Guam joint venture, I'm not quite sure. That's probably construction related. DZSP is the base operation support services contractor. I'm sure you've heard of them. And then Amentum, which funnily enough, purchased DZSP. So they're basically together there. So construction and services, base support services going on right here. So those are where the top 5 spend. Okay. USA Spending, like I said, is the data from most of the executive branches as well as the other branch agencies, but not every agency reports to USA Spending. So you can't say it's 100% accurate. It's not all of the spending, but it has a ton of data, and it goes back at least 10 years, probably more. I think maybe 12 years now. So you can see all this data. You can download the data. You can manipulate it. It'll download it into an Excel file, and then you can sort the columns in whatever way you want. So if you wanted to see a list of the different contractors and all the contracts they've won, you can see it. You will see the contract number. You will see the dollar value. There'll be a brief little description of what the contract is. So it's all in there. You just have to play with the data. There is one huge caveat to this, though, and that is back to the Department of Defense, right? So, like I said, that's what we're concerned about. Department of Defense, 99.9% of all the spending here is Department of Defense. Department of Defense is the only agency that is allowed to withhold their data from USA Spending up to 90 days. So if you wanted to see who won contracts last week from DOD, so Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, you are not going to see that in USA Spending unless, well, you're not going to see it in USA Spending. And that's because that data is withheld for up to 90 days. So we won't have like fiscal year 24 data until 90 days after the end of FY24. That's when we'll have pretty complete data from DOD. They're the only agency allowed to withhold their data like that. However, there are some other like exceptions to the rule there. Contracting officers can post award notices in sam.gov. It's up to them. They don't have to, but they can. And if the contract is more than, I believe it's 7.5 million, I don't know, that threshold might be higher now, but I believe it was 7.5 million. It gets reported actually daily on defense.gov. So there's a great website you can go to as well, defense.gov. They have a little drop-down menu where you can see contracts. And if you check that site daily, actually you can just subscribe to it. And so to email you daily all the contracts that are awarded nationwide from the Department of Defense that are over 7.5 million. So, but the contracts under that, you're going to have to wait 90 days basically and wait for it to appear in USA Spending. Okay. So let me see if there's any questions on that before we continue on. Anything in the chat? Nope. All right. Hopefully everybody's still awake. Okay. So that was USA Spending, defense.gov. That's where you can see what agencies have purchased in the past. And then you can decide how you want to market yourself to those agencies, what agencies make sense to market to. What they're buying now is also a good thing to know when you're deciding how you want to market yourself to these agencies. That's all done at sam.gov. Sam.gov is the portal, basically the government entry point. For any contract that's expected to be $25,000 or more, they must post it at sam.gov. So, and it's all here on the contract opportunities section. We do a whole webinar on this contract opportunity section, so I'm not going to go into any details on this webinar, but just know that's where you go. SAM is free. You don't even have to log in to see the contract opportunities. You can just click contract opportunities, a little search bar appears. You can put Guam as a keyword and see any opportunity with the word Guam in it. So, okay. So basically, this is an example of two opportunities I saw today. So this kind of tells you what they're buying now. This was first one's vehicle parts, and it's Anderson Air Force Base. That shows you that what they're trying to, and so how the opportunities are listed. It's it shows you what the opportunity, or I'm sorry, what the opportunity description is. There's an ID number, and then on the right side of the screen will tell you the first thing is the date the offers are due. So there's always a deadline. There's always a deadline for when you need to submit your proposal or your quote. And so if you're interested in one of these, and like I said, we do a whole webinar on this, you just click the blue title and then read more about it. So I'm going to leave it at that. But this is sam.gov contract opportunity section is where you can find out what agencies are buying now. But probably what a lot of people care about is what agencies are going to buy in the future. You want to know the forecast because that gives you a longer lead time to prepare for what they're going to be purchasing. So that gives you, to prepare on how you're going to be buying the supplies and services and construction that you're going to sell to the government. So there is an acquisition.gov. It's procurement forecast, as you can see here, and it has all the different agencies and the procurement forecast. Some of these links are pretty good. Some of these links are not so good. So it all depends on the different agencies. Google is another way you can do it, or use any actually web search. It doesn't have to be Google, but any search engine you want. And you can search for the different agencies and just, put in the Department of Agriculture procurement forecast. And you'll usually find something. So these links, this is the jumping off point, but this site seems like it's not maintained as good as it could be. There's some broken links sometimes. But we're usually wondering about Department of Defense because that's what we care about. And usually we're wondering about NAVFAC because most of the projects out here through Department of Defense are going through NAVFAC, although the Air Force is starting to do a lot more on its own. But here's some links to different websites you can go check. NAVFAC Pacific, NAVFAC Far East. So those Far East will have all the Japan and Korea contracts. If you want to sell to DOD, those contracts are run out of NAVFAC Far East usually. NAVFAC Hawaii handles and NAVFAC. So NAVFAC Hawaii and NAVFAC Pacific handle most of the construction out here. And then NAVFAC Marianas handles also some construction and usually the smaller purchases. So so you can check those websites, but I got the NAVFAC Pacific workload projection here. I got it as a PDF. It's pretty recent. So if you want to take a look at it, let's go to look at the PDF. So let me jump over to that. So I'll let this load up on your screens, but you should be seeing the workload projections as of September 6th from NAVFAC Pacific. And basically, this is just kind of like a list. Now, these are projections, so they're not set in stone. This is not a guarantee. The dates and dollar amounts here are not guaranteed. These are all projections. These are, in a perfect world, this is when these things are going to happen. But, it's not a perfect world, so things change. But you can see, let's look at the first one. There's a project title, Extend the Runway in YAP. It's going to be run by Naval Base Guam. It's going to happen through a MAC. So the acquisition tool is a MAC. A MAC is a multiple award construction contract. So let me just explain that for a second. A MAC is basically the government has a pot of money, let's say $100 million, and they want to complete 50 projects with this $100 million. And so they don't want to put them out to bid one by one over the course of, I don't know, let's say 3 years, because that's a lot of administration. And so they're going to say, you know what, let's just put one of these 50 projects out to bid. We'll call it the seed project, and then we'll have everyone in the world bid on it. And then from those proposals we get, we're going to select 8 to 10 potential winners. And then going forward, only those 8 to 10 will get to bid on the 49 other projects. So that's how a MAC works. It's like a bundling of a bunch of different projects into one bucket, basically. So you can see there's a potential award value there, 100 to 250 million. So that's the government estimate of how much this project should cost. And then there's a proposed when they think the RFP is going to be released. So FY25 Q1. So that would be October, November, December of 2024. And then when they expect to award. So the Q4 of FY25. So there's always that question, hey, I put in a bid on a project. When will I know when it's awarded? You can see right here on this kind of project, over $100 million, it takes quite a while, 6 months at least, before they award it. So think you got to keep that in mind when you're doing your pricing, because prices change, right? So there's some more things. If you just go through here, you'll see there's a standalone construction contract, a bunch of max, and it's a couple more standalone construction contracts. So you just kind of can look through here and gives you an idea of what's coming up, what's going to be put out for bid. So there's a youth center. There's what do we got here? Guam Defense Missiles Defense Systems. HSC 25. That's the helicopter squadron, I believe. There's some hangars, pump house. There's some stuff going on in Australia. Remember, this is NAVFAC Pacific, so it's not just Guam. There we go. So this is the latest projection. Okay, so let's move on to back to the slideshow. So another thing you can do to help your marketing is obviously register in SAM. If you want to be a federal contractor, you have to register in SAM, basically. A lot of people think, well, what does this have to do with marketing? Well, believe it or not, the whole purpose of registering SAM, besides getting a cage code, which allows you to sell to the government, is to tell the government about the products and services you sell. So like I said, remember when you register in SAM, you're going to have to tell SAM about your NAICS codes. What are the products and services you're selling? So, and some other things as well. So what kind of data is stored in SAM? Basically all this kind of stuff. So there's going to be your physical address, your mailing address, when your business started, what kind of business you are. Do you accept credit cards or not? That question's pretty important. If the government uses government purchase cards, so when they can go into your business, and I believe the threshold right now is $10,000, they can spend up to $10,000. They don't need an RFQ or an RFP or anything like that. So if you accept credit cards and you're in a type of business that maybe provides, I don't know, tools or parts or things that are commercial off-the-shelf type items, and you think the government will want to buy them, then you'd probably want to accept credit cards because that's probably how they're going to purchase these kinds of things. Your annual sales, your number of employees are listed in there. So that gives the government an idea of how big your company is, what kind of volume of work it could handle. So that's marketing things. Your disaster response registry is also in SAM. So that's where you tell the government that you are available in times of disaster to assist. Also, foreign ownership or control. The government definitely, DOD definitely wants to know about that. And of course, the bad things. Are you indicted? Are you debarred? Do you have any federal debt? You definitely don't want any of those things. And then, of course, your NAICS codes, your product service codes, your annual sales is all there. And then the points of contact, right? So a bunch of information is in SAM that kind of has to do with marketing that you probably didn't realize. So you also want to update your SBA profile. Now, this used to be done when you'd register in SAM. There'd be a page. The page is still there, and it's called the SBA. I forget what it says on the page. But it has a little note on the bottom of the page that says this page is not working right now, or the link is broken, or something like that. And you just continue on to the next page in SAM. And that's been there for probably 2 or 3 years now. And so sorry, I lost my train of thought there. So this is where you don't do it in SAM anymore. Now you go to connect.sba.gov. This is where you update your SBA profile. So this is for small businesses only. Large businesses are not going to be listed in the SBA profile. And that's just because the SBA is the Small Business Administration. So this is a database of small businesses, basically. So not only, this is a great site to put more information about your company, tell the government more about your company, and contracting officers will use your SBA profile. Everybody's SBA profile is all put together and stored in a database known as the Dynamic Small Business Search, the DSBS. We're going to show you how to use that here in a second, but that's where all the data is stored. Contracting officers use that site. Prime contractors use that site to vet possible subcontractors. So you definitely want to use it to basically market your company, talk about your company. So how you get and how you update your profile, if you go straight to the DSBS, there's no place to update your profile. You can see people's, it's basically a database. You can search it, you can filter it, you can look through it, but you can't add to it. So how you add to your profile so that it appears in the database is at this website, connect.sba.gov. So you would log in with your login.gov account, the same account you use to log into SAM. And then you get to this screen here, and I'm sure a lot of people already have access, but if you don't, you'll see things about your company, different portals, but you'll notice there's nothing here that talks about the Dynamic Small Business Search or your SBA profile. So, and that means you need access. You would click the access button, and then it shows you I think there's 5 different things you can get access to. And one of them is going to be the DSBS. So you're going to click that little plus sign. A confirm access change box appears. You're going to click yes. And then it's going to want you to put in your UEI and your bank account number. This is making sure that you are the one connected to this business. And it's basically going to compare this to the information in SAM. So it's going to go look into SAM, make sure the UEI, the bank account number matches, and then it'll allow you access to your small business profile. So click submit request. And you should get approval instantly. It should be instantaneous. And the link now should appear on your little login screen like you see down there circled in red. But if the link doesn't appear instantaneously, just wait 24 hours and then it should be there. But normally it's instantaneous. And then you can just click the UEI and start updating your SBA profile. So what data is stored in your SBA profile? What kind of questions are they going to ask you? Here we go. Basically, there'll be some key search terms that you're going to enter. So if someone was searching for you in the dynamic small business search, what kind of terms would they, would be good so that your business pops up? So probably, if you're on Guam, definitely put Guam as a search term. If you're a janitorial company, put janitorial as a search term, and then maybe your company name, just because or the types of services you're providing, who knows what kind of keywords people are going to search for. But just know when you put in your keywords, your key search terms, put in like one word, comma, space, one word, comma, space. That's the best way to do it. And you're going to put your company ownership in there. If you have any NFGCs, those are non-federal government certifications. So if you're, licensed CPA, a registered nurse, IT, Cisco certified in something, whatever it is, put it in there because again, this is marketing. You're telling the government more about your company and the different things you can do. You can put a capabilities narrative in there. So it's not a full-blown capabilities statement, which we're going to talk about in a few more slides. But it's just a little narrative, maybe probably 4 or 5 sentences about your company and what your company does. If you have any special equipment or materials, maybe you have the only certain type of dump truck or the only certain type of backhoe, or you're providing some kind of product that no one else provides, put it in there. Again, marketing. We want to highlight the good things about your company. Bonding levels. So if you have, $1 million of bonding or 5 million or $10 million, put it in there. Again, remember, this site is being used by contracting officers, contracting specialists, large businesses to find small business subcontractors. It's also used by small businesses to find possible teaming partners. So you will really want to highlight as much you can the good things about your company. Any quality assurance standards, usually that comes in the manufacturing side of things. Like if you're a bottle water, if you're bottling water or bottling something, you're running a factory, maybe you have ISO 9000 certification or whatever it is. So If you want to be an exporter, SBA really likes to have small businesses that are into exporting. So if you say yes to you want to be an exporter, there's a whole page of other questions you need to fill out. And then your experience. So here's where you can list like maybe 3 to 5 of your most recent projects and how you were evaluated and what ratings you got on those projects. You can put that all in this section here. So it's a great place to talk about your company and provide more data to the government, and anybody else who's looking to find out, could possibly become a subcontractor for a prime, a teaming partner for another small business, whatever it is. So you can also use the DSBS to research your competitors, and we'll do that here in a second. So let me jump over to the internet so I can show you a little bit how this DSBS works. Where's my internet? Okay. I should have had this loaded up. I didn't. So let me just open a new window here. I'm going to go to the DSBS. Hopefully it's working. Sometimes the site's down. All right. So let's say I wanted to know who are the I'm a large prime, and I want to know who are the small business. So I'm going to pick Guam. And there's so many ways you can search. You don't have to pick, all of these, but there's tons of filters. These are all different ways to filter. You can search by NAICS codes. You can search by certifications. You can search by bonding level. I need a client. I need a sub that has at least 2 million in bonding. You can search by these quality assurance standards. I need a sub that accepts credit cards, whatever it is. So I'm going to go here and say I am looking for a business that's on Guam that is HubZone certified and does construction. So I know the NAICS code for that. I know it's 236220. And I want to make sure that they have to be active in SAM. So I don't want to see anybody with expired registration. I just want active people. The reason for that is, the government can't award you a contract if your SAM is expired. So I'm going to click search, and here we go. So I got 42, and it shows me the first 25. So I'm going to go through here, and if I'm a contracting specialist or a large business or even a small looking to team up with somebody, the first thing I'm probably going to look at, not so much is the name of the firm, but probably these capabilities narrative. That's the first thing I'm going to look at. So when you're doing your SBA profile, please fill out your capabilities narrative. Because if you leave this blank, you're going to get skipped over 99 out of 100 times just because they want to read, people want to see. And this is great to see. There used to be tons of blanks, but a lot of people have been filling these out. So if this is blank, please fill it out, update yours. But let's say I'm looking through here. There's masonry, carpentry. All right, they do all kinds of stuff. Woman-owned, HubZone certified, specializing in furniture. Okay. Let's see, general contractor, prime, contracting, NAVFAC. Oh, okay, this guy's done. Let me see what they can do. So I'm going to click Serrano Construction, and then I'll get a profile here. And I say, oh, they have a capability statement. I can click this link, and should open up their capability statement. Let me just click it and see what happens there. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. So, no capability statement uploaded. But just know if you have a capability statement, you can upload it and it'll appear, and then everyone can see it. And that's why not do that? Why not have, oh, it took me out. Let me go back to Serrano. Why not do that? Why not let everyone see all the great things you're going on with your company? But there is a website, so I can click here and see the website. But I have a phone number, I have an email address, and then I can scroll down a little more and see what's going on. Okay, this company was 8A certified. So if I'm a contracting specialist, I'm going, okay, then obviously they know about the federal government. They know how it works. They're HubZone certified currently. Okay. I already saw that. Let me see. Let me look at their bonding levels. Wow, pretty good bonding levels. Okay. There's their NAICS codes. And let me see if they have any performance history. Okay, so they got some stuff here. They probably need to update this. I would suggest this is pretty old already, more than 20 years old. So you probably want to update this and get the newest stuff first. And you can do that all at that SBA Connect site. You can tell them how to order all your what order to put your performance history in so that the new stuff appears first. Okay, but so I'm probably not going to be here's something newer. Um, but I probably want to see the newest stuff. Anything, more than 5 years old is probably irrelevant. Okay, so that is how to use the DSPS. So let me close this window here. You just go through here and do all kinds of different searching. So if let's say I want to do a different time to search, so I didn't like that search, I can click here, refine my search. And then I can go, all right, let's say Guam, never mind the hub zone. How about women-owned? Well, find us, see, is there any women-owned construction related? Because maybe I'm short on my goals. That's another thing. Federal agencies have goals to do, and prime contractors also have subcontracting plans where they have goals to work with as many categories as possible. So here we go. Oh, we see M80 again. But here's some companies that are women-owned and have the construction NAICS code in their profile. Again, like I said, if your capabilities narrative is not filled out, I would highly suggest getting that filled out as soon as possible. Okay, so you can use this site to search other small businesses for different purposes, for subcontracting purposes, for teaming purposes, all different kinds of things. You can also research your competitors. So I'm sure nobody on this call is on an island alone where they have no competitors. Every industry has competitors. Every business has competitors. So you can search them and see how they put their profile together. So you can also use USA spending. Again, like I mentioned earlier, 10 years or more worth of data there. So you can type in you can go here to the DSBS first. Maybe you want to research a competitor, find out what their UEI is or their cage code is, and then go to USA spending and just, do a search of their cage code, and it'll show you all the federal contracts they've won, federal prime contracts they've won in the last 10 years at least. So. Okay, before we move on to capability statement, let me do a real quick check if there's any questions in the chat. Oops, no chat questions. Okay. So let's go back a screen here. So the first type of capability statement we're going to talk about is something known as an elevator speech. So a capability statement, just in broad terms, is basically it's like a business card for your business, right? So we all have business cards. We all but our business cards, what do they really tell people? They tell people when you give it to someone, it tells them your name, it tells them how to contact you. It might have your company name and your title on there, and maybe a tagline from the company, or maybe on the back of the card, it might say a little bit about the company, but it really doesn't say too much, right? About the company and what the company's done. So that's what a capability statement is for. It's a way to tell people about your company and what the company has done. So the first type of capability statement is basically kind of like an elevator speech. So this is the old, you're at a conference somewhere, or maybe you're at a meeting and you bump into a prime or a contracting official, specialist, officer, and you're on sharing an elevator. And so you got about 20, 30 seconds. How do you handle that, basically? So you should always have some kind of pitch ready. This is marketing, remember. And so you probably want to tell the person, hey, what you do, introduce yourself, what you do, and how it helps customers. And then throw in a little differentiator there. So, okay, because there's tons of people doing the same thing you're doing and they're helping customers, but what makes you a little different? And then end with a question, how do you handle government, in this case, government registrations? So an open-ended question where they can't say yes or no to the question. They actually have to answer with a sentence, some kind of sentence. So that's just something good you should have memorized, have it ready to go just in case the opportunity arises. Sorry, I got people logging in right now for some reason. Let me just get that all done. Okay. So the typical capability statement, though, is known as a one-page capability statement. It's a snapshot of your company. It's proof of your qualifications, proof of your past performance. You want to put some differentiators on there. What sets you apart from your competitors? Then, of course, your company data. That's the easy part. So let's go through these types of information that we're going to put on our capability statement here. Or first, let's talk about why we need one, right? So government contracting is highly competitive. There's tons of people going after government contracts. Contracting officers, contracting specialists are very busy. They don't have time to, entertain 30-minute, hour-long phone calls. They don't have time to read a 20-page brochure or company portfolio. So you need a one-page, straight to the point document that you give these people and let them know this is who we are, this is what we do, and this is how good we are at doing that. That's the basic three things you want to tell them. It's a door opener, that's for sure. You can use this when you're, you know, trying to reach out to different agencies or sub agencies or not even buying offices, but the end users on different bases or different military installations. Instead of, you can call them and not going to guarantee they're going to entertain your call, but you can say, hey, I know you're very busy, but can I email you my capability statement? Something like that. Prime contractors kind of requires probably a strong word there. Prime contractors like them. A lot of prime contractors though just make you go to their website and basically register if you want to be a subcontractor to them. But funnily enough, when you're registering, most of the questions deal with your capabilities. So it's a good thing to have. An outreach matchmaker event. So this kind of ties in with something we want to start. Hopefully we'll get one started at the end of this month, but we want to do an in-person Meet the Prime event. And we're trying to, we're working with a prime right now to do the first one. They haven't accepted yet. They haven't confirmed that they're going to do it, but once they do, we'll let everyone know. But hopefully at the last week of September, we'll have an outreach matchmaker event where you'll be able to come and meet the prime and speak with the actual small business liaison person for that prime. And so you will need a capability statement to talk to them. If you don't have a capability statement, you will not be able to have time with the prime. So that's something we're going to be doing hopefully by the end of this month. But this happens quite a bit. There's tons of matchmaker and outreach events, and you really want to have a capability statement ready when you go to these events. Also, the big thing, it's usually used in response to a source of SOT notice. So when you're in SAM, you'll see these notices. This was a recent one for answering services. The government, Veterans Affairs, the VA was looking for companies that can provide answering services. So a source of SOT notice is sometimes known also as an RFI, or request for information. But basically, it's the government doing market research. They're trying to figure out the companies out there that can provide the product or service they're looking for. And they also want to know, are there small businesses out there? And if there are small businesses out there, are there different categories? Are there hub zones? Are there woman-owned? Are there 8As? Are there service-disabled veterans? So it's all part of this process of market research. So, and a lot of times a source of SOT notice will say, hey, okay, so this is not a contract yet. So if you respond to this, you're not going to win anything. We just want to know who's out there that can provide the service or product that we're looking for. So here's how you respond. And usually they give you a list of things that they want you to respond with. And 9 out of 10 times, one of those things in that list is a capability statement. So another reason to have a capability statement. So what exactly is it? Like I said, one-page document, you know, front usually is good enough, front and back if you have to, but one page, right? The whole point of this is save time for the person who's going to be reading this thing. Get straight to the point. It's got to be brief, one page to the point, professional, so make it match, um, professional and visual, make it similar to your graphic identity. No spelling mistakes on it. Make sure the color scheme matches your website and maybe your company colors and your company logo and things like that. Make sure it all matches. The big thing here, though, it's tailored. So it's tailored who you're going to give it to. So you might be a company, let's say, that does janitorial services and landscaping services. And you notice that maybe this agency is doing a lot of landscaping services, but they really don't know about you. Maybe they only know you as a janitorial company. So you want to give them a capability statement, but only include your landscaping services in that capability statement, you know? So if you're going to talk about some contracts you've completed as a landscaper and you got some good evaluations on it, talk only include those. They don't need to know about your janitorial stuff. So whatever the customer's need is, that's how you want to tailor your capability statement. So it's very, very possible and probably likely that you're going to have more than one capability statement, and you'll be able to change it up. So don't just have a PDF that you can't edit. Have a Word document or something you can edit and then change it up as you need to, depending on who you're going to give it to. So on your capability statement, you want to include some core competencies. So a key area of strength that you see as maybe the main strength of your company. We are a landscaping business, but we focus on large acreage projects. That's our core. I don't know. And then relate that core to your customer specific needs. You can also get some of your core competencies acquired from partnering, teaming, or licensing. So you can team up with it. Maybe you're trying to go after something and you really don't, or that's really not like your main business. But if you have a teaming agreement, and not a standard teaming agreement, but a binding teaming agreement, it's called, then basically that other company that you're going to team with, whatever they've done in the past becomes what you've done in the past. And that's because your teaming agreement is binding. The standard teaming agreement is just, hey, we are bidding on a contract, and should we win this contract, we are going to negotiate with company B here to possibly be our subcontractor. All that is iffy. It's all possible. It's negotiation. Nothing's set in stone. They might not be the subcontractor, right? They might not be the teaming partner. That's a standard teaming agreement. A binding teaming agreement says, hey, should we win this contract, company B here is guaranteed to be the sub or our teaming partner. It's a guarantee. So when you have a guarantee like that, then that means they're already vetted. You already went through the negotiation process. So they're going to come on board. So whatever they've done in the past, whatever great evaluations they've had in the past also become your evaluations. So that's something you can do and use that to your advantage. Now, differentiators is probably the hardest thing to do. A lot of people, how many dozens of companies are doing lawn care or yard maintenance on Guam? How many are doing janitorial services? How many are doing security services, right? There's tons of competitors always for you. So you need to know your advantages over your competitors, and that's how you figure out what your differentiators are. So how do we do that? Go back to the very beginning of this presentation. Evaluations. Have your customers evaluate you. Do those surveys. Ask the questions. Why are you the best? What makes your product services better? What makes your staff better? What makes your equipment better? Whatever it is, whatever industry you're in, try to pinpoint or try to have your customers pinpoint for you what makes you better than your competitors. So let's look at some sample differentiators. We have 3 burger companies here listed, as we can see. And you might think, well, there can't be much differentiation between them. They all sell burgers, fries, and drinks, right? That's what these companies do. Well, there are some probably stark differences between them. You can only get a Big Mac at one of these, right? Or a Happy Meal, and McDonald's has the most locations, right? So that's 3 differentiators right there that they could list on their capability statement. When it comes to Burger King here, right? They Whopper, onion rings, and they use the flame grilling, right? So nobody else is doing that flame grilling, as far as I know, of these 3. So those are the differentiators probably that they would use. For Wendy's, baked potato, chili, they have really quite a different selection of different items. And then there's a fastest drive-through. Maybe that's a different, they've been told that by doing evaluations of their customers, and so they'll put that on there. Is it true or not? It's probably debatable, but if they get enough surveys of their customers saying, hey, your drive-through is fast, then they should put that on their capability statement. So it's a very simple example here. 3 companies selling the same products for the most part, but there are some big differences here. So this is what you need to figure out for your companies. All right. Then you also want to include past performance on your capability statement. And again, like I showed you earlier, it's one of the guiding principles of the Federal Acquisition Regulations, the FAR. The using government wants to use contractors who have a track record of successful past performance, or if they don't have that track record, demonstrate a current superior ability to perform. You need to stand out somehow. So what you want to include on your capability statement is basically the 3 most recent and relevant contracts. You'll see that a lot too when you respond to a sources sought notice. They usually want you to list your 3 most recent and relevant contracts. Relevant meaning relating to whatever the need is of the government buyer. Including any customer testimonials and positive quotes. I'm going to get to that back in a second here. And make sure their point of contact's names, titles, and contact info are current. So a lot of people confuse past performance with experience. They're 2 different things. So as experience is what you've done, right? I cut this yard the other day. That's my experience. Past performance is how well you've done it. I cut this yard the other day and I completed it on time and on budget, and I got a great evaluation from my customer. And in fact, here's a testimonial that they wrote for me. That's past performance. So experience what you've done, past performance, how well you've done it. So that's why you want to include customer testimonials and positive quotes in your capability statements. I've seen hundreds of capability statements in 15 years of doing this. And I can honestly say that many of them do not have this. They do not. They usually put experience. It was much better when you're reading, you're a contracting official or you're a prime contractor. Okay, yeah, sure, they did this job. But if it shows on your capability that you did this job and you got an excellent rating from the customer, or the customer provided a little quote and you can fit that quote in there, that's even better. So, and then make sure your point of contact's names, titles, and contact info are current. And the reason for that is if they want to check up on you to make sure those testimonials are real. So make sure they can have someone to contact. And then, of course, the easiest part of the capability statement is your company data, because that's all pretty standard. So just make sure it matches. So if it's listed in SAM as a certain way, then also put it on your capability statement the same way. Things need to match. You don't want to say that, you have, I don't know, or your SBA profile bonding of 10 million, but your SBA profile says 5 million when they try to check on you to make sure everything's accurate. So but this is pretty simple information. You don't have to include all this stuff. I mean, I would definitely include your locations. I would definitely include geographic area. I think that helps quite a bit. Your addresses, of course, point of contact deals, your cage code, your UEI, your NAICS codes, and then if you're hub zone certified, 8A, woman-owned, service-able veteran, whatever it is, I would definitely include those things. It's up to you, though, if you want to go deeper and include bonding information and market share and annual revenue. Some people don't like to put that stuff on marketing material, but that's up to you. Yeah. So here's a sample capability statement. This is PFM Vertex Guam. So let me just go to the actual PDF. I just found this on the internet this morning. So if you want me to use your capability statement, oh, let me go to the PDF. I'm on the internet here. If you want me to use your capability statement, I will. Just send it to me and I'll look through it. And if it looks pretty good, I'll use it. So what I mean by use it is for the next time we do this webinar. All right, so here's a capability statement. They talk a little bit about their focus and vision. Again, probably don't need too much. You don't want to make it too wordy. Remember, whoever's reading this is someone, just imagine someone who does not have a lot of time and they talk to lots and lots and lots of vendors all the time. So, or potential vendors. So some differentiators they list: resources, personnel, and relationships. They talk about some little success stories here. So they do have some quotes from um, their customers. They list their core competencies. They have pictures. Pictures are always great. Then they put their hub zone, their company overview, their hub zone number, so they are hub zone certified. They have a contractor's license, and here's another one. Here's another past performance. So it's interesting. Success stories, past performance. Probably don't need to divide the two up, but you can put them all in one section. So, and then they list on this one, they list some current projects. So this one seems to be a general capability statement. So if you're going to tailor this to someone that you're going to give it to, and you're going after one type of contract, one specific category, one specific NAICS code, then you probably want to adjust your capability statement here to only include the projects that relate to that. So this is more like current vendors they're working with, or current primes, or maybe current subcontractors or teaming partners. It's not really a list of projects, just a list of company names. Yeah. But what I do like about this is the quotes. So it'd be better, though, also if you put a person's name there that said that. So they can go and contact that person. Name and phone number would be good, or name and email address. But here's a simple capability statement. All right. So here's a guide. So let me send this guide. Let's go back to the PDFs. I'll show you the guide. I'll send this out to everybody today, sometime this afternoon, when we send everybody a copy of this PowerPoint. But basically, this guide comes from a company known as Target.gov, and they're still around, and they actually charge a fee. They'll review your capability statement and charge you a fee and let you know what you need to change, or not, give you some tips. We'll do the same thing. We just won't charge you the fee. Because like I said, it's all paid for with your tax dollars already. But it's a good simple guide here. I mean, it's not too it looks very simple as well. It's just black and white, but obviously you don't have to keep it that way. But it tells you, like, all right, core competencies, use this section to do this. No long paragraphs, short sentences, bullet points, whatever, some key words. And then, have a past performance section, have a differentiator section, and then they tell you what to include in these. So this is pretty old. This is back when we were using DUNS numbers. We don't use DUNS numbers anymore. There you go. So like I said, you can use this as a guide, a template. You don't have to keep it exactly in this format. You can move the categories around, whatever works for you, and however you want to, dress it up and make it look nice. The key here, though, is just make sure it's tailored to whoever you're going to give it to. That's really the key. Because like I said, they don't have a lot of time, so they don't need information that they don't need. Just give them the information they want to see. Another type of capability statement is like a company portfolio. So, Serrano again. Got them twice today. All right, so you can go to their website. Let me go to their website here, and you can see they have a capability statement. And I believe if I click here, is this the right person or the right section? I don't know. Let me see what happens. So we can go through here, lots of pictures. Pictures are great. So they list their core competencies. They talk about their services and then their past performance. But then this becomes like a company portfolio, because they list, I think, every project they've ever done. So here's some NAVFAC projects, and wow, there's a lot of projects here. So, I mean, this is great if I was a contracting specialist. These are kind of old, so I'd kind of switch this around on my website and put the new stuff first. This is way back in 10 and 11. But there is a ton of stuff here, and small business projects. So that's something you can do. Put that on your website. You can also put just a regular, general one-page capability statement on your website as well. I see that a lot on websites. That's another thing you can do to market yourself. Of course, have a website. You need a website nowadays. Everything's done on the internet. So, in fact, when you give a capability statement to a prime or a contracting official, they're probably going to go straight to your website to look at other things about your company. That's just natural human reaction to do that. So let's look at, I think I have a couple of these lined up already. So let's look at Cabris Marine. So here's their website. And so, the typical home about us, things they do like that. But if you click on their services, so they have different services they provide. They have pictures. Pictures are always great. People love pictures. But if you're interested in, I don't know, their spill response services, okay, what have they done? They got it sorted by the performance history. So that I'm imagining these are going to be contracts that they've done in this type of service. So here we go. So they did something, a recertification training course in 2022, FRT training in 21, National Strike Force Coordination Center in 2019. So pictures are always great. So yeah, when you complete a project or even during the phases of a project, take some pictures, market them, put them on your website. It's always good to do. Let's look at another one. I think this is Ian Corporation. So they have the capabilities right here. So if I click that, so that'd probably be something I'm interested in as a contracting official or as a prime, or even as a small business looking for, yeah, this needs to be updated as well. You can see the DUNS number here, CCR. Wow, there's no more CCR. That's a long time ago. So probably gotta change this, put in your UEI instead of your DUNS number. Yeah, make sure you update your websites. A lot of that, sometimes that gets left behind, the website. And I know it's because it takes time and you probably need a tech person to do it, but it's just something you just standard operating procedure for your company. So here they just list their codes and certifications basically. So I probably want to see what kind of projects they've done if I'm thinking of working with them or, hiring them as a subcontractor. Okay, so now I got civil, electrical, mechanical. So let's look at their electrical stuff. And what do they got? Okay, so they got it sorted by different projects. Okay, so let's say I'm doing a project that's going to need someone to do some antenna stuff. So I'm going to click this antenna, see what they did. And okay, so back in 2012, they did some Admirals compound Nimitz Hill. Oh, they got some pictures so I can see how they did it. Oh, okay. All right. Got it. Got it. Oh, and then I can move on to the next project here without going back to the list. That's a pretty good feature. Okay. And they talk about the project. It'd be nice if they put a dollar amount here so you can see how big of a project this was. I guess you could tell if you're in this industry if this is a big project or not. But it'd be nice to know how much that cost. And then if you had any testimonials, right? Put right here on this blank space. If you had an outstanding rating from your customer and they said, hey, they did a great job, delivered on time, on budget, blah, blah, blah. Put it right here so we can see. Remember, all these things are marketing. You need to talk about your company and all the good things your company has done. And if you've been recognized for those good things. Okay. Also, marketing, big thing is who you know. So get involved in the community. There's all kinds of organizations out there. If you're a contractor, definitely join the Guam Contractors Association. If you're a business on Guam, Guam Chamber of Commerce is Guam Women's Chamber as well. There's other chambers out there, Chinese Chamber, Korean Chamber. There's NAWIC, the National Association of Women in Construction. So there's a SAMI, of course. SAMI does the big build-up conference that's coming up. Oh God, I forget now, October, maybe November. I forget when. But it's Rotary clubs, there's the GHRA if you're in the hotel industry. So, and there's other organizations. These are random. I didn't pick all of them, obviously. There's a ton out there. So join these organizations, attend the meetings. You're going to mingle with people, get to know people, and that usually leads to business connections. So teaming is a great thing as well. Join forces with other small businesses. There's many times I see projects on Guam being awarded to an off-island company, and I always wonder why didn't a local company win that? I read through the description and I think, wow, someone on Guam could have done that. And then I see, oh, okay, maybe it was a little bigger than most companies on hand could handle on Guam. And I think, why didn't they just team up? Team up with another small business. Partner with primes. That's another thing you can do. Then, of course, you can use USA Spending and DSBS as well as your local connections to vet them. So Teaming is a great thing. The government loves to work with teams, especially teams that have successful past performance. So if you've been a team and you've worked together well and you've completed projects in the past and you've got good evaluations, that's things you want to highlight. That's things you want the government to know about. All right, now we're going to talk about getting on the list here. So there used to be a rumor years and years and years ago that if you wanted a contract with the Navy or Anderson, you had to be on a list. There is no list. There's just, there's successful, uh, there's people who complete their contracts successfully, and there's companies that don't. So, but the best way for the government to find, or what, some good ways, let's start with this. Some good ways for the government to find out who you are and what you do, besides everything we've talked about already, is let the end users know who you are. A lot of people, a lot of companies focus their time on the contracting officers and the contracting officials. But guess what? They're buying for other people, right? They're not buying for themselves. The contracting office is not buying the construction of a building for the contracting office. It's for an end user. There's a different sub-agency. There's a different section of Anderson, a different section of the Navy base, a different squadron that needs whatever that the contracting office is buying. You need to market yourself to those end users. Now, how do you find those end users? That could be difficult, right? If you can get on base, it's a little easier, right? You have your capability statements prepared and you can go around and visit people and set up meetings with different end users and find out who's buying what. Um, there are phone directories. Here are the links. I haven't checked if these still work. Well, the last time we did this a couple months ago, they worked. So you can cold call. Can't guarantee that they're going to answer your cold call. Can't guarantee that they're going to respond positively. But you never know, right? I mean, the old saying of where are you now? You're at square one. You call someone, they reject you. Where are you? You're still at square one. Nothing has changed, right? You haven't lost anything. So, but who knows? Maybe you call someone and they go, hey, yeah, you know what? We've been looking for a vendor that can do that. There you go. Now you're at square two and you can move on. So it doesn't hurt anything. Contact contracting officials. Again, like I said, you want to market to the end user, but also it can help a little bit to know all these contracting officials. So how do you know who all the contracting officers and contracting officials are? Especially for smaller purchases. Um, just go to sam.gov and go to the contract opportunities section, type in Guam as a keyword, a list of all the opportunities appears. Click on each opportunity. At the bottom of every opportunity is going to be a contracting officer's name, a contracting officer's phone number, and a contracting officer's email address. Another thing you can do, right? And so just compile a list and get the word out on your company there. But the best way to get on the supposed list that doesn't exist, basically to make sure the government is aware of you and your company and what your company does, the best way is to submit a bid on something. So go into SAM, find something that have a remote shot at. And even if it is a far, far remote shot, take that chance. Obviously, make sure if you do win, you can provide that product or service. But bid on something, because that way, when you submit a bid, when I say bid, I mean a quote or a proposal. And it's a company that the contracting office is not aware of. They've never heard of this company, but they go, oh, wow, we didn't, or maybe they are aware of this company, but they didn't know that this company provides this kind of product or service. Now they do. Now they know. And they might come back to you. So I've seen this happen where the example we always use is there was a client of ours. She was an ad executive, and she started coming. This is a long time ago now, probably more than 10 years ago. And she started her own business, took all our workshops, and when she took this one on how to market your company, she decided, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna bid on something. So there was an opportunity for firefighting helmets. And so she researched it, figured out who the manufacturer is, or maybe the wholesaler in the States, who makes these things or provides these things or can supply these things. And she got a quantity and a pricing, and then she put her markup on there and the shipping and all that. And Boom, she won the contract. And then she's been winning little things like this here and there. And the reason is she just took a chance. She just submitted a quote. She knew she could deliver if she did win, but she did it and she won. The last thing I saw her supply, and I think there's been other things, but the last thing I saw was a ground penetrating radar machine. So, take that chance. That's how you have the government become aware of the products and services you're providing. That's the best thing you can do. All right, so here's our contact information. GuamApex.com is our website. We have a Facebook page. We have a LinkedIn page. Like I said, this will be posted on our YouTube channel sometime today, and I'll send everyone a link to it so you can watch it. And then here's our contacting information for myself, Victoria, and Nasha. And so I'm going to open up for any questions if anybody has a question. So let me stop the share. Well, let me check the chat real quick. Are you able to show us how to upload capabilities? Yeah, I don't have that right now. You should be able to do that on your SBA Connect site. So when you're doing your SBA profile, there should be a place there where you can upload your capability statement. But let me double check that. And then if the procedure is fairly simple, I'll just send the instructions on the email that I send to everybody. All right. Any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. No questions. Going once, going twice. All right. If there are no questions, I want to thank everyone for attending today. Like I said, this will be posted on our YouTube channel this afternoon. Please, please, please fill out that evaluation form. That link was on that email where you got also the link to attend today. And please join us next Thursday, 10 o'clock, as we will talk about the defense industrial base and how to increase the defense industrial base. We'll be talking about things like FOCI, which is Federal Ownership, Control, and Influence, all IBAS, all these different acronyms that relate to basically how you can participate in federal contracting, especially when it comes to things like innovative things. So the federal government is always looking for innovative companies that can provide solutions to the problems they have. So if you are working, if you know any inventor types, people who need money for research and development, there's a ton of money out there for that. So we can help you find those programs and point you in the right direction so that you can get some funding. So we're going to talk about that. Those things are known as SBIR, STTR. So we're going to be talking about those things as well. So anyways, it's going to be kind of like a grab bag next week on these different types of opportunities for innovative type companies and how to increase the defense industrial base. All right. So no questions. Thanks everyone for joining, and have a great day, everybody.